I am Reed, just a normal 27-year-old guy talking about building wealth and getting your life together in your 20s. What if I told you that upgrading your car, apartment, or even just your daily coffee routine could quietly cost you millions of dollars over your lifetime? Because that is something I truly believe in and something I struggle with a lot. A constant, nagging battle against my own flawed human psychology. Today, I wanted to break down something insidious called lifestyle creep, how it sneaks up on you, why it feels so normal, like a warm, comforting blanket of financial mediocrity, and how it can, without you even realizing it, sabotage and truly ruin your long-term financial freedom, leaving you perpetually chasing the next upgrade forever on the hamster wheel. For those of you who are new here, we talk about building wealth intentionally and realistically, not with some get-rich-quick nonsense, but with the boring, repetitive, brutally effective strategies that actually work. I wanted to talk about a topic that I struggle with personally a lot, and I have struggled with a lot in the past, an enemy within, if you will. I wanted to explain it, then give you guys real-world examples of how I've messed up, because I am not perfect, nobody is, and give you real-world numbers to where I could have been if I didn't fall into this trap. If I had just exercised a modicum of self-control. So for those of you who are not aware, lifestyle creep is what happens when you start making more money. Whether that is a raise, a promotion, a new job, instead of investing the extra, the new money, you start spending more, you get nicer apartments, new clothes, you start eating out more, upgrade your phone, upgrade your car, the usual suspects. It is not rocket science. It is just human nature amplified by modern consumerism. It is not necessarily about spending money, because spending money isn't inherently evil. It is about letting your spending rise faster than your income can afford you. It is about constantly moving the goalposts, making financial independence an ever-receding mirage. And the worst part is that a lot of us tell ourselves we deserve it. We worked hard, so we convince ourselves you can afford this right now. This instant gratification, this fleeting pleasure, but that mindset will slowly trade your freedom later for comfort. Now, it is a Faustian bargain, selling your future for a slightly shinier present. Now, I don't want you guys to get this misconstrued. I definitely 100% believe in paying yourself first. You know, if you get a new raise or you get a promotion and you want to buy yourself something nice or you want to treat yourself to a nice dinner, I am into watches. You know, I always tell myself when I get promoted, I am going to buy myself a nice watch. That is okay. One purchase is okay, a single deliberate reward, not an avalanche of mindless consumption. But it is the slowly upgrading everything around you when you're spending, or sorry, your income, can afford those realities. That is where the danger lies. That is where you start digging yourself into a financial hole, one luxury item at a time. So I wanted to give you guys a few real world examples, one kind of general one, and then two examples that I've personally messed up on this a lot because I've been there, I've made the mistakes, so you don't have to, I don't make a lot of money, but let us just say for simplicity, sake, right? You make $70,000 a year, that be awesome. I wish I made that much money. I make like $30,000 a year, but let's say I make $70,000 a year and I get a raise to $85,000. So that is a $15,000 raise. That is awesome on paper. Well, instead of saving and investing that $15,000 difference, I am going to decide to go buy a new car, or I am going to go get a new couch, or I am going to go get a more expensive apartment. I am going to go out more, eat 3 times a week. Totally normal, right? Everyone else around you is doing it. Other people in the office are doing it. It is the siren song of social conformity. But zoom out, if we invest $500 a month of that raise into an index fund like VOO that returns an average 8% a year. After 10 years, we have $91,000. After 20 years, we have $275,000. And after 30 years, we have over $680,000. That is almost $700,000 just from keeping your lifestyle the same. And investing the rest, it is not magic. It is compound interest, the 8th wonder of the world, quietly working its magic while you sleep. Now, this is a lot easier said than done. So for example, I struggled with this a lot, and I still struggle with it. The urge is always there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for a moment of weakness. You know, my thing when I was working at my full-time job was cars, right? Everyone around me loved cars. I still love cars, and I was really big into the car scene. The roar of the engine, the smell of burnt rubber. It was intoxicating. So what I did was when I got my first promotion to full-time, when I went part-time to full-time, I was driving a 2016 Hyundai Veloster, a perfectly functional, if somewhat unexciting vehicle. I immediately wanted to get something cooler, faster, more fun, because that is what society tells you to do, right? Upgrade, always upgrade. So I started looking for cars, and I got a 2017 Subaru WRX. After taxes, I think I paid $26,000. I financed it for 7 years, and my monthly payment was $443. This was around 2018, right? I felt like the cool kid on the block, an 18-year-old driving a Subaru WRX, living the dream, or so I thought, and now I wanted to upgrade it. Because the base model was enough, it never is. And I can tell you the exact number right now, but if I add up the tuning, the wheels I had, the cosmetics, the carbon fiber, the bucket seats, I went full-blown with this car, right? Probably around $12,000 into that car from start to finish. a money pit masquerading as a passion project. So I went on my phone, right, and I found a picture from the 27th of June, 2019, from when my Subaru WRX was getting tuned at a place that had it on the dyno. So if those of you who are not familiar, you put a car on the dyno, it tells you how much horsepower you are making. You get it tuned. It is a whole thing. It is expensive. Let us just say at that point, I had about $10,000 invested into the Subaru WRX. The 27th of June, 2019, VOU, the ETF, closed at $276. So if I took that $10,000 and put it into VO right now, my $10,000 would be worth $20,472. Not bad. A respectable return for doing absolutely nothing. Let's say I wanted to put it into Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin, the 27th of June, 2019, closed at $11,000. If I took that $10,000 I put into Bitcoin, I have $95,000 right now. Yes. Bitcoin is volatile, but the potential upside was astronomical, and I chose carbon fiber and bucket seats instead, a choice I often regret. And the worst part is after I did all of that to the Subaru, I sold it with all the upgrades on it. And for those of you who know about cars, when I sold it, I lost all my money on it completely. Upgrades don't add value, they just make you feel good for a little while, a temporary ego boost at a permanent financial cost, but I still didn't learn my lesson because I am a slow learner, especially when it comes to my vices. I got another raise, sold the Subaru, I bought a BMW 340i 2017 with the supermotor in it, the B58. That is what I wanted, the next level of automotive indulgence. So not only did I lose the money on the Subaru, but I bought the BMW, I put a big turbo on it, I put on air suspension, probably around $15,000 into that car, another $15,000 thrown into the void. But let us just use that $10,000 for simplicity's sake because the numbers just get depressing otherwise. So I have a picture of my BMW from the 24th of November 2020. VO closed at $328. If I put $10,000 into it, I would have $16.77. Again, a solid, steady return. Also, Bitcoin at the time closed at $19,000. If I invested that $10,000, I would have about $55,000 right now. It hurts. It truly hurts to look at these numbers to see the compounding power I squandered on a depreciating asset. So the point I am trying to make is, and then, to put the cherry on top, when I sold the BMW, I sold it with all the upgrades on it, lost all my money on it too. It is a recurring theme, a tragic comedy of financial missteps. And when I am saying I lost all my money, it is when I sold it for. You don't make your money back on the upgrades. All that $15,000 I put into the car, I never saw that back. That never came back into my pocket because upgrades actually devalue your car in the long run. It is a brutal, undeniable truth. Anyway, my whole point is I have messed up big time when it comes to lifestyle creep. Every single time I get a raise, I buy a new car because that is my vice, right? I don't drink, I don't go out, I just like cars, a seemingly harmless hobby that became a financial black hole. So every time I get paid, I buy a new car, and I really had to learn my lesson. Because once I started getting into this whole investing thing, I realized man, I really wasted a lot of investing potential back then. A lot of future freedom sacrificed for present indulgence. When I had the BMW, that was during COVID. If I just stopped upgrading the BMW and started investing my money, I would have so much return right now. It would be insane. I am talking 6 figures, maybe even 7 if Bitcoin played its cards right, and I truly feel like I wasted a lot of time. A lot of financial freedom by doing that. And me and my girlfriend always talk about it. You always can look back and say, you should have done this and I could have done this. So I don't hold myself to it. I don't think I don't depress myself over it because it is almost one of those things where it is at the time I was having fun. I was genuinely enjoying myself. I had my fun with the car. I was doing what I thought was right. I didn't know much about investing. I was financially ignorant. Now that I look back on it, I am man, I could have invested all that money. I could have bought a beater car and I could have invested those tens of thousands of dollars that I put into these materialistic cars, and I would have probably a $200,000 portfolio right now. But I wasn't thinking about that at the time, and I can hold myself to that. It is a learning experience, a costly one, but a learning experience nonetheless. So if you guys have ever fallen into lifestyle creep, don't hold yourself against it. Now you know. Now I look back on it, I think it is a great learning lesson. I know how to treat money now. I know what to put my money into, and once again, it was just a learning lesson. You gotta learn from it, learn from your mistakes, and just get better in the future, because that is all we can do, right? Learn, adapt, and move forward with slightly more wisdom. So my whole point is, it is still something I struggle with. I still think about, if I get a raise, maybe I can buy this car or that. The temptation is always there, a whisper in the back of my mind. But at the end of the day, you don't want to keep inflating your lifestyle, because that is how you stay stuck. That is how you remain a slave to your paycheck. And the reason lifestyle creep is so dangerous is because it does feel like a bad decision at the time. Like I just told you guys with my car when I was upgrading my cars, and I feel like I was doing the right thing. I didn't think it was a bad decision. I was looking at investments. I didn't know anything about investing, so I thought I was doing the right thing because it felt good. It felt like progress. Obviously, I am not buying a yacht, but I am slowly upgrading my car. I am slowly upgrading my lifestyle. Maybe I am buying a watch. Maybe I am buying some new technology, upgrading my PC. Maybe you are doing the $5 coffee instead of making it at home because you got a raise, or, you were looking at a $500 couch and now you are going to buy a $2,000 couch, or, you start adding more monthly subscriptions because you can afford it, or you start eating out more. These are all small, seemingly innocuous decisions, but they add up. Oh, do they add up? The problem is over time, these choices start to stack and these expenses build upon each other to the point where you don't even realize it because it happens so organically and it happens so naturally. It is like watching a plant grow. You don't see it happening, but one day it is huge. And that is what costs you money in the long run. And over the years, the compound interest of short-term satisfaction really builds up. It is the opposite of compound investing. It is compound spending, and it is devastating. So this is the next part is I want to talk about kind of what I would do, right? What I plan to do now instead of lifestyle creep. Because recognizing the problem is only half the battle. The other half is implementing the boring, mundane solution. And kind of like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I am not telling you guys to not treat yourselves, if you watched a video previously. I said how I went, and it was me and my girlfriend, anniversary, and it was a very expensive dinner. But once again, it was a one-time thing. It was our anniversary. I felt like it was okay. A planned, intentional splurge, not a reckless habit. When I get promoted, I do want to buy myself a nice watch, but it LLB one watch that I L buy. My lifestyle 1T change, I just want to reward myself for working hard, but once again, I LL do it smartly. It LL be in my budget. I have already started budgeting for it because that is what responsible adults do. They plan, they budget, they exercise discipline, so you just have to do it smartly and not let things just compound over time without you realizing it. Because that is how you win this game with intention, with foresight, with a healthy dose of skepticism towards your own desires. So when it comes to spending, you just want to spend with intention. And here is how I personally fight lifestyle creep, my own personal, brutally effective, boring strategy. So when I get a raise, the first thing I do is I increase my investments. It is non-negotiable. It is the absolute first priority before I even think about anything else. So in my opinion, the easiest way to do this is with your 401k because it is automatic, it is tax advantaged, it is almost too easy. So for example, when I got my last raise, which was about 6 months ago, I was contributing 6% to my 401k. I got a 4% raise. The first thing I did was I took my 6% and I bumped it up to 7% in my 401k. It is not a lot, but at least I am investing more. Now, it is a small, consistent step in the right direction, a tiny win that compounds over time. So that would be my first thing that I would do. And that is what I plan to do if I get my promotion or if I get a raise from here on out, is automatically increase my investments. That is the first thing I LL do before